Everybody, another edition of the Kings of the North podcast, week 15 here, and some interesting sports action going on here. I'm with Travis Rodriguez. We are live with my buddy over here. We got Periscope going at Lombardi Ave, and we're here at Kings of the North podcast at podbean.com. Hit us up for all your NFC North action, but we'll welcome Travis Rodriguez here for a first time live in studio, normally taking calls, but he is here live today.
Very live and well right now. Excited to talk a couple of recaps and previews with Joe here. And, let's get into it.
All right, we'll start her off here. Let you touch on your victory down in Jacksonville. Sunny, beautiful game for you guys. Got escaped with the W there. You guys seem to dominate the action, but kind of let Jacksonville hang in there a little bit, made it a little bit interesting. But what do you think there as far as that game went? And go ahead.
Yeah, as far as keeping them in there, we sure did. I mean, we dominated that game. We had the 4th and goal where Asiata got stuffed, which resulted in them getting the ball there within the 5. And then we had the, 2nd or 3rd and goal. Asiata fumbled, and they got the ball on a touchback on that one. So that game should have been 40-16. It ended up 25-16. We got the W. I'm happy with it, but made it a little too close for my comfort, that's for sure.
Yeah, but Harrison Smith being out, it didn't really seem to affect them too much or anything. Obviously, Allen Robinson and Marquise Lee, they didn't do anything special. Blake Bortles, kind of been the Blake Bortles we've seen all year. We expected him to break out and just hasn't done it, didn't do it. What do you think about the Jacksonville's offense, and why are they just not able to move the ball? I mean, I guess your defense is pretty solid, but you'd think that they'd be able to get the ball going down the field at some point. But
well, I mean, you could say our defense is solid. I would go with it's more elite than anything. And then the Jaguars' offense I'm not too impressed with. I'm actually pretty upset we gave them 16 points. Typically, I think that game's a lot more of a blowout than it should be. And, I don't know. We kind of let Bortles hang around and do his thing, and we shut down Robinson like always. Roads closed. He shuts down whoever he wants to. And then a guy named Marquise Lee stepped up. I think he had 5 receptions for 111 yards or something like that. And he just did his thing. He did real well. And I don't think that happens most of the time against us.
yeah, I picked Jacksonville in that game. I figured they would be able to shut you guys down, but their defense wasn't all that special. Your offense moved the ball very well on them, especially that opening drive, that big pass to Kyle Rudolph down the sideline.
Absolutely.
And you guys look good. Besides, honestly, the turnovers is kind of what were the name of the game and what made it close. If you guys were able to take care of the ball there, you certainly show up big with a large win, probably 42-15 or whatever it was there. It would have been a big win. But you guys moving forward, heading to Indy, kind of a similar type team. But we'll touch on that in just a moment because we will transition into a bigger win here with my Packers squad coming out victorious against the Seattle Seahawks. Travis, I'll get your thoughts first. I know you didn't catch a lot of the game, but I want to get your thoughts on sort of the dominating performance by the Packers. Obviously, we both didn't really expect it to be that dominant a performance by the Packers, and I want to get your thoughts on the Packers here. Just coming off of a dominating victory against Seattle when kind of it was one of those games for the Packers. It was like season could be over. We'll see Packers fans hoping and praying, hanging on a limb, crossing their fingers, and they come out on top. So what do you think, just as far as being like a Vikings fan and the Packers kind of proving their worth here in the league and getting hot as far as it being a crucial time in the season?
Absolutely. Quick little bit on my Vikings, real quick. I think we had 3 plays of over 40 yards as far as pass plays in that game against the Jaguars. I think we've had 5 or 6 all year, so that's something I think we're looking to improve on, and we did. So I think look forward for that moving forward. As far as your Packers win, didn't expect that. Didn't expect a blowout as was. I mean, yeah, you got Earl Thomas out, and you got the snow, and you got Rodgers, and I figured it'd still be close, but I guess the way I look at it is the Seahawks are a great rain December team because they're from Seattle, the city of rain. But I don't know if they do well in the snow or what. But that's 2 straight very piss poor offensive performances in a row for them on the road. Last week they beat the Panthers at home, smoked them. 2 weeks prior they lost to the Bucks on the road like 14-5. So it's just they're a whole new team offensively on the road, and I think the Packers are unfortunately heating up at the right time, and I think they'll they'll do the thing this week against the Bears, and I think next week is going to tell a lot for the NFC North and our team's playoff hopes in the future. So.
You touched on it. Seattle at home, a pretty good squad, but on the road, not so much. And so I'd be kind of worried that the Packers sneak in the playoffs, but they do have to face Seattle on the road. It could definitely...
It'd be a lot different.
It'll definitely be a better game for
Absolutely.
sure. And Russell Wilson coming off his career worst game ever, obviously, 5 interceptions.
5 picks.
And then they lost the fumble later on, but Russell Wilson isn't going to have that type of game every week, and obviously if the Packers match up with them in the playoffs, it'll most likely be at Seattle.
Yeah.
Pending a Packers division win, and then but either way, they wouldn't match up against Seattle in that scenario until later on. So it'll be interesting for sure. But I was definitely convinced the Pack are back. And I was expecting like a good fight from the Packers, and if they lost, it was pretty much wraps on the season, and I was just going to be whatever. I was going to look into the draft and hope for the best, but I am now like more excited than I've been, and for good reason. They spanked them, and they got good play all around. Defensive line stepped up. Dean Lowry, guys you haven't heard of like that. J-Ron Elliott getting sacks. Christian Ringo causing pressure, forcing the interception throw. It's just guys like that are finally forcing pressure up the middle and allowing our D-backs, who are finally getting healthy here. Rollins back in the lineup. Gunter playing some good ball. Randall's back out there. And we just looked like a different defense, and I think that if they're able to kind of play with that bend but don't break defensive mentality that Dom Capers preaches, Packers could cause nightmares for anybody down the road here and possibly run the table. I don't know what you think, but I like the Packers' chances going forward. I know you're Vikings fans here, you don't want to hear it, but I'm being real with you here. The Packers are the real deal right now. A lot of people don't want to accept it, but... And then I haven't even touched on the offensive side of the ball right now. I can keep going, but
I think I could help you. Well, I mean, obviously the Packers have kind of found their rhythm on defense. As long as they're medium to averagely better than medium on defense, their offense can keep them in games, if not win them every game, as long as the defense plays mediocre at best. And, they found their running back, who is a wide receiver, but McCarthy calls him a running back as of Monday. He's our running back. Ty Montgomery, the guy's doing big things, 60, 70 yards rushing, and then you throw in like 40, 50 yards receiving. The guy's doing good things, and I feel bad for Cheeseburger Eddie. I don't know what he's going to do next year, but maybe they found their guy. Maybe it's Starks and Montgomery. I don't know. Their offense is clicking. It's very scary, And the only thing, if I was a Packers fan, I would be scared to is face a defense like, I don't know, the Vikings next week. So maybe that would slow it down.
Yeah,
And my concern is your defense going to play good enough against my offense, which is very well likely? Then it's going to be a weird game. But like if our offense can outplay the Packers defense on Christmas Eve there, and I think our defense will outplay your offense because it's our defense and we're that good of a defense. I don't know.
certainly some good points to make going forward. I am still not convinced that the Packers are 100% there. I mean, they obviously just came off a great win here, but I mean, the Seahawks are supposed to be elite defense, but they're out Earl Thomas. You guys are out Harrison Smith, so it could be kind of a similar type game. But I mean, obviously minus the 5 interceptions and the turnovers, so that'll kind of close the gap there as far as that goes. I think you guys will take better care of the ball. So, but we'll touch more on that going forward. But you touched on Ty Montgomery, and for the first time this year, the Packers were able to run the ball efficiently, and I just think it's like one of those things. It doesn't sound like a big deal, but I feel like that just opened up things for Rodgers there, going down later in the game, and as far as moving the ball and whatnot against that Seahawks defense. Ty Montgomery, you touched on the numbers. It was 9 for 41 in the run game, and then he had another 56 yards passing, so over 100 yards there for him, and then he punched in the touchdown. He's showing not only can he be this finesse running back, but he can get it done in the goal to go situations, and that's huge going forward because the Packers have struggled in that situation all year, even with Eddie Lacy. And you also touched on that. That'll be something which I was probably going to get more involved in as far as if we lost to the Seahawks and the offseason, because that's going to be a big offseason story there as far as Eddie Lacy. I can see him going to a team like the Seahawks even, or the New England Patriots, depending on what happens with LeGarrette Blount, and then there's several other teams out there, obviously.
Same player.
Hurting for running backs. Yeah, he's a LeGarrette Blount type running back, and
Absolutely.
obviously that's a type of guy that Bill Belichick has always kind of
groom him.
Yeah, exactly. So that'll be interesting as far as an off-season story and whatnot. But I think we've basically hit on everything with the Packers. One more thing I want to touch on is Packers special teams kind of been mediocre all year, and they were able to basically win on all phases of special teams, the field goal unit, executing, punt return, picking up big gains, winning field position battles, getting the offense in a good position. We started 4 or 5 drives, I believe it was, in enemy territory. Give Aaron Rodgers the ball in enemy territory 4 or 5 times a game.
You're gonna get good.
You're gonna get a W out of that.
At least good things. I don't know if I'll stretch it as a W, but that's in your favor for sure.
Give Aaron Rodgers the ball in enemy territory 9 times out of 10, and it's going to cause trouble for the opposing team. But
yeah, I don't know. That's been the thing all year. Like, which Rodgers is going to show up? The Rodgers who's cocky and into himself and doing his thing, or the Rodgers at the beginning of the year that we saw as insecure, and I guess the media will blame family issues. I don't know if that's the real case, but that's the thing. That's what people are stirring up the pot, and I don't know. They found like let's say the Vikings found a running game like the Packers finally found, which we probably have, but I don't know if we have like the intellectual enough plays to make that happen. I think we'd be on the same boat, but our defense is better, so that's why I don't know. I still favor the Vikings, but man, that offense of the Packers is scary, and it's gonna be scary if they keep it rolling. I'm not gonna lie, as a Vikings fan, that does scare me. They could, if Rodgers gets it going and he finds the bits and pieces to pluck here and pluck in there, and it could be a dangerous, very dangerous offensive team in the playoffs.
Yeah, and that's kind of thing. You guys may have Adrian Peterson come back here, so that could. A lot of people are going to say he ain't going to do nothing. He ain't do nothing. And a lot of people are like, whatever. But
he's a mental
Listen,
impact.
it is Adrian Peterson here,
yeah.
And it's like if he's back at 80%, it's still better than Jerick McKinnon and Matt Asiata. Let's be real here.
For me, it doesn't even matter if it's the run game that he really improves. Like, are the yardage just going to get better or not? But it's going to be the looks. You go from 6 or 7 in the box to 8 or 9 in the box with Adrian Peterson because it's just his physical presence and the mentality of our offensive players that they're going to be hyped up, they're going to be ready. We're doing this for AP. We're going to get him going. He wants to play in Houston. We're going to get it going. And but you start stacking 8 or 9 in the box against Bradford, very efficient quarterback, not a big splashy playmaker by any means, but a very efficient quarterback. I think he will exploit the crap out of most defenses in the NFL if you throw 8 or 9 in the box. I don't care. I don't care.
And that's the thing with AP. You gotta at least, if he's there, you gotta at least at the beginning of the game plan for him to be Adrian Peterson.
Exactly.
And then you can make adjustments as the game moves on. If he's obviously looking slow, whatever, you can start making adjustments. But
it's a mental thing.
You can't just come into the game and think he's not going to do his thing. No. And he's been practicing. He's been running since they're saying he's looking good. So
he's hoping next week.
I would bet for Adrian Peterson, and I'm a Packer fan.
Right.
So one last thing I want to touch on before we go into preview next week, though, is up front, the Packers' offensive line with a banged-up Aaron Rodgers. They've been giving him so much time. Like, he has all day in the pocket. I don't know what they're rated as far as numbers go on your RotoWire or your Pro Football Focus, but they're giving him all day to throw. And they did that against Seattle and Houston, who are supposedly one of the better pass rushing teams in the league. And I think that kind of plays dividends as far as Rodgers' efficiency. And then you got Jordy Nelson leading the league in touchdowns off his ACL injury. Hasn't looked like the old Jordy Nelson, but he has shown that he is confident in his knee. He's been taking on contact. He's not afraid to put his head down and fight for extra yardage. And he's looking confident now in that. And then Devontae Adams kind of emerging, healthy.
Absolutely.
And then obviously got Randall Cobb there and Ty Montgomery and that mix. And you touched on James Starks. He's gone now. He's like the third running back. Christine Michael was looking good last week. James Starks is more of just like a guy.
Equalizer.
Yeah, he's a guy that's like, if there's no one else, he's at least knows the playbook and whatnot. But
with Rodgers running around in the backfield, and I feel like your offensive line is doing well. I'll say that. But there's a different way to blitz certain quarterbacks. Like, certain quarterbacks do better on the run. Like, they're just better scrambling and doing goofy stuff. Wilson, Rodgers, like those types of guys. They love to do fluky stuff, run around the pocket, make plays with their feet, and then make that great throw with their arm because they have that arm as well as that playmaking ability. Ben Roethlisberger. But if you blitz Aaron Rodgers the appropriate way and keep him in a enclosed pocket, which I think like
pressure in his face.
Yeah, you
got
to make the circle around him. Whereas a lot of teams do different looks, and then they're going a gap twist or whatnot, and then you got Rodgers floating out one way or another. Rodgers is going to make that play with his feet and make that throw. But if you blitz Aaron Rodgers the right way and you keep him in the pocket, I think he goes from an A+ quarterback to like a B- C+ quarterback if you keep him in the pocket.
And Zimmer has shown that
Zimmer will make that happen.
Make Rodgers kind of more of a, not a great quarterback, but more of a mediocre quarterback, especially with those A-gap shows and blitzes. And it's not even half the time he's not even blitzing them, but he's giving that show. And
so Aaron Rodgers pre-snap making calls, A, B, blitzing. Turns out A and B are dropping back in zone coverage. That's where the interceptions, that's where the big plays come from.
Exactly.
Is very different looks and twists.
And that's where that Vikings defense matches up well against the Packers, and it's scary. But we got another week here, and we'll get into that. But we will bounce into the Vikings home game against the Colts, who have shown that they can win some ball games, but then they will come back the next week and not look so good against mediocre ball clubs. So it's kind of which Colts team's going to show up, but you can bounce into this Vikings Indianapolis Colts game and let me know what you think here.
I feel like with the Colts, it's like you got Andrew Luck, and that's it. Like I don't know. I couldn't really name another player. T.Y. Hilton, Andrew Luck, Frank Gore, but yeah, Frank Gore is not the old Frank Gore. He's the the old washed-up, consistent Frank Gore is what he is now. And against a defense like the Vikings, I don't see him making much of an impact. Andrew Luck has actually been sacked 37 times this year, most in the NFL by any quarterback. With our defensive line heating up, doing big things nowadays, I don't know. I just feel like our defensive line really matches up well with their offensive line. Our defense matches up with their offense. Their defense is very mid-tier bad, actually. They're more like mid-20s, low-20s as far as most rankings, pass, rush, total yards, points. They're in the lower half of the pack. So you throw our lower half of the pack offense against their lower the half pack defense, and then you throw our high defense against their mediocre offense. I don't know. I like this game. I feel like we win handily. And you minus the 4th and goal stuffs and the 3rd and 1 fumbles on the goal line, I think we'll handle them easily, more than even so we do with the Jaguars.
Yeah, I mean, you guys at home play a good ball game. I think special teams is a key here, and you guys dominate that phase of the game most weeks. I think that'll play a big impact. And then your offense isn't all that bad. They've just not been able to execute to their ability, and they have in certain weeks, especially against the Packers early in the season, Houston early in the season, and then they kind of plateaued for a little bit. But I think now that they got rid of North Turner and they're finally able to put a game plan together with Cordell Patterson getting involved, Thielen doing his thing, Steph Diggs obviously playing some good ball. Like, you guys got weapons. The run game still hasn't really been there, but it has improved a little bit. And I think if you guys are able to just give your dose of the run game and keep Sam Bradford protected enough to get out them finesse passes, because he's got a great finesse passing game. Most of his big completions, they're not going to be those solid bullet passes. They're going to be drop back, and then he's going to hit somebody on a timing route like a Thielen or a Rudolph, and it looks pretty when he makes those completions. But if there's people in his face and he's not able to read the defense and get set up, then that's when he struggles. But Colts defense, middle of the pack, they got decent pass rush.
Middle to lower end of the pack.
But you should be able to move the ball well against them, enough to sneak out a victory, especially at home. I think your defense will hold them down enough for you to get a W. I did pick the Colts, but that was more so just because I'm a Packer fan and I'm a Vikings hater. But I think Colts they have a good shot to get it done if Luck is hot and able to get the ball out on time and they're able to protect. But I think the Vikings will be able to bring enough to get him off his game.
Yeah, I mean, we're 32nd in rushing, 73.4 a game. I think we had like 87 against the Jags. We have not broke 100 as a team all year. And if we were going to do it, it would be this week against the Colts that allowed damn near 100 a game, 97.8. So that's 27th in the league. And I think we break 100. I got McKinnon as a flex option in fantasy. I don't think I'm going to start him because I don't think he's going to score. But he's going to get that yardage, and I think we handily win and start to hit our stride at the right time.
It could be a good game for the Vikings to get hot, especially against the Packers. They got the Bears, and we'll get into that game here in just a moment. But could be a good game for the Vikings to get hot and could make for a good Christmas Eve matchup against the Packers at Lambeau Field. But if you got nothing else on the Vikings, we can move on to the Packers-Bears.
Let's go to the blow pack blow.
All right, Green Bay traveling to Illinois, Chicago, the Windy City. Expecting kind of a colder temperature there down in Chicago, probably like mid-teens, low 20s, probably some wind, being it's Chicago right off the lakes there. But Packers have shown obviously they can play in some weather. Bears, a young team, kind of trying to play spoiler right now. They got Alshon Jeffrey coming back this week. Meredith been looking good, and Barclay, was that Barclay their quarterback? Matt Barkley. He's actually been looking pretty good. He had a 300-yard game the other week, and Their offense is all right. Their defense is actually, if you look at the stats, they're not middle of the tier. They're like upper a little bit, but they're not elite. They're good defense though, and it could cause some trouble for the Packers. But I'm not too worried, especially coming off a big win against the Seahawks. They should be able to move the ball and score as long as they're not turning the ball over. They should be all right. And if this Packers defense is gonna play up to this standard that they did against the Seahawks, they should have no problem against the Bears. I mean, it shouldn't even be a discussion, really. We should just be looking forward to next week. Packers should spank them. I think you're on the same page with me on this one, but Bears could, being it's at Chicago, maybe make it a good game.
Weirder things have happened, as you said, on Halloween, Joe, when the freaking Bears beat my 5-1 Vikings. But I think you touched on it. My one concern for both of our teams this week is trap games, I guess you'd call them. We're both already looking forward to Christmas Eve to the point where we're gonna overlook this game. Even as fans, I think like me and you are just like, yeah, next week's gonna be the shit. We're planning on going to the Football Friday Feast with PA next Friday because Packers Vikings
Purple People Eater Paul Allen.
It's gonna be fun. But like I feel like we're overlooking the fact that we could lose this week and our season could be over. And you actually touched on it just previously, like a minute ago, like, oh, maybe there's a team they're already looking. I don't think that's gonna happen, but like that would be my one concern as a Packers fan against the Bears. You're lucky you don't have not Alshon Jeffrey, but Jay Cutler. I mean, I think I overlooked Halloween night. I thought we were gonna smoke the Bears, and then we got handled. And Jordan Howard's freaking running like crazy lately. And your guys' rush defense went from like first to like ninth in like 3 weeks. So you guys have been getting pretty torched on the run game, but I think the Packers will pull this off, and Matt Barkley or Barclay, as you want to call him, I don't think he's gonna do anything much. And like you said, I think next week's gonna be our basic Super Bowl for regular season for our two teams. It's gonna be fun. So I actually kind of want to have my team win, your team win, and then we got next week. I want next week to be an experience for both of us as fans, and it's gonna be a good time.
Yeah, it should. Both our teams should come off with a victory here and make for a great Christmas Eve matchup, and certainly some big playoff implications. And then going into week 16 or 17, Packers have Detroit. You guys have the Bears, so you guys should win there. Packers win there, and as far as playoffs go, we're hoping for a little help from some other teams, but it could certainly come down to the Packers winning the division and Vikings getting that wild card,
or
vice
Packers
versa.
winning against the Lions to make the Vikings win the division. You know, it could be interesting, but I don't know. The next 3 weeks are going to be. I'm extremely, as a fan of the game of football, I am extremely excited. I'm happy. Like I said, I've been on the ESPN playoff simulator for at least like 2.5 total hours of my life for the past 2 days, just doing options, and it's been fun. And this is what you live for as a football fan. You get excited, and at least your team's relevant, so that's good too. And talking with one of your best friends who's the opposite team, it's fun. I'm excited just for football in general.
Certainly makes for a fun time, and like you said here, big games going forward. If the Packers lost to the Seahawks, I probably would have been in the gutter. I probably would have been slamming like 8 shots of Ruppelmans right
Wouldn't
now.
even be with you right now. You probably wouldn't even let me come over to do this.
I'd be sleeping right now, calling it a night because our season would pretty much be over. But the Pack are back, and we're about to win out, and we're going to run the table. And with that being said, we will sign off. But go Pack, go! And,
Skull.
We will be back probably Monday with some post-game action and some
We'll see.
Some game recaps for you. So take it easy, everyone. Thanks for listening. Follow us, Podbean, YouTube, Twitter, whatever it is. Figure it out. We'll post it up there for you and leave it up to you guys. But we are the experts on the Packers and Vikings. I don't know what you guys listen to as far as the weeks go and whatnot, but I think our accuracy and our analysis has been pretty spot on this year, and our predictions have been pretty damn good.
Pretty darn good.
And
Absolutely.
if you want to listen to the experts and the Packers haters, Colin Cowherd signed off on the Packers weeks ago. So
That's the only ESPN analyst that is like not on the Packers jock. Everyone's on the Cowboys, and like 9 out of 10 are on the Packers. Everyone hates the Vikings. Don't let them.
They were on the Vikings hard this year, though.
Well, yeah, we started 5-0. I was on the Vikings hard. So were you. So.
But I mean, obviously, being a Packer fan, I'm gonna be on my squad, but we're certainly in the mix, and there's a good chance we'll be making moves going forward. So hit us up.
Skull.
We'll be here.